You're probably wondering why I haven't uploaded a JRPG video or anything on the PS1 yet, since that's like one of the biggest genres on the system, and that's an easy answer. They're very long to play through. As an adult with a lot of responsibilities and such, it takes time to schedule these games I review. I'm very selective, and I always like to make each game different than the last to talk about on games you may or may not know about, and JRPGs are one I do love to talk about, but it just takes time to get through. Role-playing games in general are some of my favorite games of all time. And, I've played all the Dragon Quest games, Final Fantasy's great, Persona's great, and even Pokemon. There's just all kinds of good role-play games to play. The PS1 was the golden age of RPGs. Final Fantasy VII was kind of the breakthrough game back in the day, and a lot of other companies had to make their own RPGs at the time. Well, have you ever heard of Guardians Crusade? Because I didn't even know this game existed until about 4 years ago. I was in a game store, saw the name of the game, the cover, I was like, this looks interesting. So I bought the game, and I did play it back then, and I played it now all the way through, and definitely want to talk about what's going on with this game, if it's worth your time or not to check this one out. So without further ado, sit back, relax. I'm here today to review Guardians Crusade for the PlayStation 1. Guardians Crusade is a role-playing game released in 1999, only for the PS1. It was developed by Tamsoft and published by Activision. Tamsoft's known for making some other stuff, Battle Arena Toshinden, that's definitely one people know that was on the PS1, as well as modern stuff like Onichimbera, or however you pronounce that game. They even made cool random stuff too, like Steam Gear Mash, a Japan-only Sega Saturn game. If you haven't played that or heard of it, definitely check that one out. The story of this game is pretty simple. You start off and you're this guy who's a knight who lives in this town of Orgo with your fairy friend Nahani, and you're given a task to deliver a letter to the next town by the mayor. Well, along the way, you see a little pink dinosaur hippo dragon thing that's injured. Well, he befriends you, he follows you, well, the mayor sees him and wants you to get rid of him. Well, you do as he asks, but you feel bad for him, so you go back to this cave where a bird's taking him, or whatever. This mysterious voice tells you to save this thing and take it to the God's Tower. So the whole goal of this game is to get that pink thing to its mom, the God's Tower, across the world. Matter of fact, this game is called Night and Baby in Japan. Guardians Crusade is a lot like the other RPGs you've played in the past before, like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, all that stuff. It is no different from those. Controls, I'm not going to really go over, it's the same thing you would normally expect, but I will point out, the DualShock controls are in this game, and you can use the left stick, and I gotta say, it feels very, very nice. It's at 360 movement, and the vibration is pretty cool, like when you commence an attack in battle, you'll feel the vibration. I like that touch. One more thing to mention too is the camera. It's a lot like Grandia, if you've ever played that game. You can use the L or R buttons to turn the camera all around, and you'll be doing that a lot with this game because it's all in 3 dimensions. Gameplay wise, the same old RPG stuff is all here. You'll be going through cities, forests, mountains, caves, all that stuff, exploring all that stuff and fighting enemies in the process. Combat is pretty much easy to know and what you would expect. In this game, it resembles a lot like the first Dragon Quest game. You only control the knight. That is the only character you control in battle. The baby, the pink thing, he is auto-control. He's AI, and he'll just do whatever he wants, but it's not too bad. He usually attacks most of the time. Your functions, you can attack, you can use these things called LTs, and that's the huge meat and potatoes of this game. They're called living toys. Living toys, essentially, is just your magic in this game, but they do have a little bit of a twist. Some of the toys are quick play toys, and you can use them. It'll do like an effect like heal or buff your defense or something like that. Then there's some toys who will go out for 3 turns or more, and they actually attack the opponent until they're knocked out. And they serve as a support character, which is really, really cool. You can only have up to 3 toys on the field though, so 5 of you guys in total. So if you want to play another toy, you're gonna have to wait till one of the other toys is gone. You can also do the other basic stuff like defend, you can use items, and you can tell the baby and you can command him to attack, defend, or anything. That's kind of your way of commanding him, but he just kind of controls himself like I mentioned earlier. Literally, the tropes are all here. Every town has armor, weapons you buy and upgrade, and you battle enemies for rubies in this game, which is gold, and you buy more to get better gear as the game goes on. Nothing new with that. When it comes to transportation in this game, it's a little weird. So in the mid-game or so, you get this water spider thing. Essentially, this is just your boat in this game, or your surf Pokemon if you want to call it that. And it's very, very slow though. You can go anywhere in the game you want to, and you can reach by beaches, but it's very slow, but kind of funny that it's a water spider. Don't know if another game does that. You can actually fly on the baby at the end of the game. Not to spoil anything, but you do get that ability. It's painfully slow, but it can go anywhere. And you can technically teleport, but I'm going to be honest with you, don't even worry about it. You can't even do it until the very end of the game, and it's very limited. It only teleports you to certain sections of the world. You can't, like, zoom to a town like in Dragon Quest or something like that, or fly in Pokemon. Don't even worry about that. It's out the window in this game. It's kind of annoying, but you won't really need it, I'll be honest with you. The living toys also, they all have a function. There's a few that do things outside of battle. You can actually see the map with the Mapster living toy. He'll show you the whole world. Doesn't tell you what the towns are, but you can at least see where you are and all the different towns around too. If you're tired of playing and you want to save your progress, you just go to an inn like you kind of do in other games, and when you heal, you actually can save on your memory card. And PS1 JRPG rule of thumb, always save at any chance, because if you lose in this game, and like a lot of other games, you die, you go back to your last save, and you don't want to lose progress. One of the best parts about an RPG is always the places you get to go to, and this game definitely does justice with that. The world is awesome. It feels very cartoony, innocent, but it really kind of most closely resembles stuff like The Legend of Zelda, maybe mixed with Pokemon with like maybe the towns and such, but definitely a lot like The Legend of Zelda. And it's just really fun to talk to everybody, they have fun things to say, you'll meet funny characters around, the way, as well as you'll see characters like Darkbeat. And Darkbeat's like your rival, you'll see him sometimes. They just did a good job with the characters in this game, I thought. And it was really fun, and your character just looks goofy in general, and you have this pink baby, he's funny looking, and they just definitely did a good effort to make everything look good in this game and interesting. The game's difficulty, I'll be real honest, this is actually not a hard game at all. It's got some moments where it is kind of challenging. Like I mentioned earlier, you definitely want to save when you can, but the game overall is very easy. And mainly because you level up very fast, so if you do grinding, you're going to be over leveled and ready for anything. The living toys help you quite a bit, and you just get good, and you get a lot of money, and you're just definitely overpowered a little bit if you grind. So definitely a good beginner RPG here. Just to mention though, the enemies and like bosses and such, they're not bad, they're pretty cool, they're just kind of ordinary. I've seen them before in a lot of other games, and they're definitely good, but it's just kind of the same old when it comes to that. The music though, however, man, this soundtrack is very unique. This soundtrack doesn't even sound like a game from 1999. This soundtrack sounds like maybe the PS3, PS4 era. It is so good. It's so unique and different, and I did not expect this game to have a soundtrack this good. I really couldn't find much information on who composed the music of this game, even though it's probably in the credits somewhere, but gotta say, this music is awesome. Take a listen for yourself. I gotta admit, my playthrough with Guardians Crusade was pretty fun. I actually played this game a few years ago, like I mentioned earlier. I got it about 4 years ago to store, but I only got like maybe halfway through the game and I just kind of stopped. But this time, I actually took my time, had a critical eye of the game, and I gotta say, Guardians Crusade is definitely worth your time to check out. It's not the best RPG on the system or at all time or anything. It also doesn't really reinvent the wheel or anything, minus the living toys being very unique. Transportation's also not the greatest in this game, but it's definitely not a deal breaker, just kind of a nuisance more than anything. One thing too I forgot to mention is this game has a fast battle feature. That is freaking awesome. I don't think there's a game at that time period back in the 90s that even had an option like that. games today do, but really cool that this option is here. I used it the whole playthrough. One thing I definitely appreciate about this game too is I feel like they definitely put a lot of creativity, work into this game, because the translation's good of what the story's about and what all the NPCs say. I also think the world here is just really cool and fun to go through. I loved all the locations, the towns, the caves, the mountains, every dungeon, all the bosses and all that stuff. I really enjoyed my time with this game. I would even go as far as to say it's a hidden gem, so definitely check this one out if you've never heard of it or played it before, and if you like RPGs. This game is stuck on the PlayStation 1. It's never been re-released on any store of a kind or in any other format, only on the PS1. So if you want to play this game and you want to own it, it's about $40 complete in box, or you'll have to go through other means necessary to play this game. It's a shame too, I wish this game was either remastered, remade, or hell, even a sequel. Maybe someday we'll see that, but to be honest, I kind of doubt it. So, oh well, it still lives on the PS1 as a good RPG. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, be sure to give it a like. If you got something to say, leave a comment down below. And of course, if you want to see more content like this in the future, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.